one of the biggest things in management in India at the moment is managers are having to unlearn and relearn.
Absolutely. Put the past behind and look ahead.
How easy or difficult did you find that? Because the past is dear, especially because we are very good at what we do. If you're very good at what you do, you find it very difficult to leave it.
Yeah, but the past gives you opportunities. What the game teaches you the best, after 100, the next game you start from 0. And the same system continues. As I said, the past gives us opportunities, whether it's a Fleming, whether it's a Vittori, or whether it's a Mahela, whether it's a Dravid. It gives you opportunities, but expects from you that with your experience, with what you've seen over the years and what you've learned, you turn the table on and move forward. Welcome to Bandhan Bank Connect Season 2, Off the Pitch. I'm Sourav Ganguly, and today we speak about something that every leader and every individual experiences at some point, and that is change. Every phase of life demands a new version of you. What matters is how you adapt without losing your essence. Former player to captain, from cricket to administration and now mentorship, I've lived through different transitions, each with its own learning curve. Reinvention is not a sign that something was wrong, it is a sign that you're growing. Letting go of titles is not always easy. Redefining success takes time. But every stage is an opportunity to discover a new part of yourself. With me is someone who has watched careers transform, evolve and take new directions from very close quarters. Harsha is here and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Something I experience on a daily basis because the world around is changing so fast, and without realizing it, we find that we are approaching today with yesterday's thoughts. And those thoughts might have been very valid yesterday, but today people might turn around and say, you're cracking uncle jokes, And so it's so important for all of us to constantly reinvent and constantly stay relevant. And in a lot of the corporate speaking that I do, every company is grappling with this thought at the moment. How do we ensure that in this very turbulent, changing world that we live in, how do our managers stay relevant? How are they able to leave yesterday behind and come into today? How are they able to change roles, for example? That's something you did a lot in your career. When you finished, you went into administration. I mean, apart from your other roles, these are the two that fascinated me very much because you saw the impact of administration on you as a player. And then to go into administration, aware that you're no longer out in the middle, do you have to forget something and embrace something? Is that difficult to do?
Yeah, you did. You forgot a few things, embraced a few things, but the experience never goes away.
Yeah.
Administration was about the game and it actually helped because you played it. And you know what it is in the middle, what it takes to be successful, what are the requirements, what do the players want. Because at the end of the day, the game is about the players. Because that's what people come to watch, that's what people support, that's what fans are, and that's what it is all about. The administrators at the back make sure that the things go on smoothly. So it's actually helped. Transition is important because I started in an era where Test cricket was paramount, one-day cricket was as good. And it's slowly getting into an era, or already into an era, where T20 has a massive importance. And as a person who's seen both, it actually helps you to understand what it is and move forward. I always believe in life, whether it's corporate, whether it's sport, you have to find a way to move forward. You cannot be stagnant. If you're there, you're rolling down. And I think that's very important. But I must say, it is very important that you use your past experiences in any form of life to get that transition going, because you've seen the both sides of the coin and understand both sides of the coin and then take a decision.
Since you mentioned T20 as well, there's a lot of people who watch T20 cricket and say, but that's not the real thing. Because so often we are searching for what we used to like in today. So we're used to watching a 2.5-hour musical, and today suddenly you're saying, but the world is about 10-minute reels. Is today wrong? Are we wrong? Or has the world just moved on, and do we therefore need to stay relevant? It happens in broadcasting, Sourav, that the broadcasting that I learned, that was very dear to me, is increasingly not relevant anymore with these wonderful, talented young people coming in. And I look at them sometimes and I say, do I still belong here anymore? So we have to keep being relevant as we go along. But even if you're a player, say you're a Rahul Dravid, to whom the stumps were his fortress, right? You don't break Sachin Tendulkar stumps, you wrote big Rahul Dravid stump. And then suddenly you're watching a game today where the stumps have no relevance. You've seen Surya Kumar Yadav bat or you see Abhishek Sharma bat. The stumps have no relevance. How can you relate to that? And suppose it happens in the middle of your career. You still have to do that, no?
And you have to adapt. And I can bet you the names you took, Dravid and Sachin, in this era would have adjusted as well. And their stumps would have been irrelevant in the shorter format of the game because you have to score out of every delivery. The best adjust, I've always said that, best adjust. History has a place in sport. I know there's so much T20, but look at the Ashes. Look at India going to England, Australia going to England in the summer. Good has relevance. If you're good, you'll always be relevant and you'll be able to adjust. And as you rightfully said, we have to keep moving forward. When I started playing cricket, fitness was nothing. As I progressed throughout my career, it became so relevant. And by the time I finished, it was a must. And we had to adjust. So the best, as I said, will cope up. The best, as I said, will move on because they have the ability, they have the mindset, and they have the character to adapt to the new. Otherwise, you're behind.
I saw you sitting the other day in a dugout. There was a WPL game going on, and there you are sitting in the dugout. I don't know if you're officially coach or you were a mentor. You were sitting there.
Yeah, well, the head of cricket.
And I was thinking, what is Sourav thinking about here? Because the women's game is completely different from the men's game. If you start searching for elements of the men's game in the women's game, you won't even understand it. It's a different sport. You've got to start understanding. And I'm sitting there and thinking, okay, Saurav's got to first start understanding this is a women's game, not a men's game, which is a game he played all his life. He's got to understand it's okay to get out, How can you live with the idea? It's okay to get out beyond a certain point. So how are you able to make the transition of watching something that is very different from what you played?
Different from what I played to a certain extent, because in one day cricket, as you go towards the end, it's okay to get out because you're trying to score as much runs as possible. But you spoke about Surya Kumar Yadav. There was Andre Russell at its peak. There was Kiran Pollard. There's some of the other players now who still thrive in those situations, who are not in a mindset of it's okay to get out, who are in a mindset to maximize the number of opportunities they get to hit the ball. There are two ways of looking at it. And I think the best, as I said, will still survive, still score runs, and make the most of their ability. And you've seen that with a whole lot of players. You take a Klassen, you take a Stubbs, you take a Hardik Pandya or a Surya Kumar Yadav. You may consider that it's okay to get out. They may not. They consider it as balls to hit.
Yeah.
And in doing that, I may get out
Correct. That's what
a few times. But that's the name of the game. Maximum runs, maximum hits, and it's the number of times you put the ball in the stands.
I'd love to see. There are people of an earlier generation who become coaches of a young generation. I see a lot of today's young players in. And I marvel at how they put in the hard work. It's not that they work less than anybody else. They're on Instagram. They're on Reels. They're wearing giant solitaires. I saw a couple of people, I looked at that and I said, I hope it's a lab-grown diamond, man, because I don't know how much it cost. And then I suddenly told myself, I am imagining myself putting that on. Don't do that. Don't fall into that trap. But if you're a coach, would you be able to very easily get used to the fact that these people will party hard? They'll spend like there's no tomorrow. They'll preen, but they'll still be in the gym. They'll still be hitting balls. It's important not to judge them by what you see based on your old values.
True. There were players in my time who were like that as well. Party hard, spend a lot and still train hard.
One of them was called Sourav Ganguly. No.
Maybe.
I can't imagine you partying hard.
So, but then as you said, the times have changed, the generations have changed, and you have to accept it. And I found it absolutely fine to move forward with them because that's about understanding. That's about, as you rightfully said, making relevant and staying up with time. And that happens. As you said, you look at old coaches, some of them who are still in the franchise cricket, Fleming, with so many years with Chennai Super Kings, 16 years with results, Mahela with results. There's so many of them and they adapt. And they understand the game and guide the young players to do what they want to do and play the game the way T20 is played. The best thing is they don't have to play. They don't have to hit those sixes and fours. It's somebody else who's more equipped, to handle that situation. And I don't think that the transition is too difficult.
In the corporate world, we are seeing increasingly, you thought a generation was 10, 15 years. Now people are saying, no, generation is 5, 6 years maybe, but there is a tech onslaught. And I'm sure in your business, you see a lot of tech as well. There's a tech onslaught that's coming in. There's younger kids who are coming in who just understand technology like a fish takes to water. As a manager, can you understand? Oh, hang on. They probably understand the tech world better than I do. They understand today better than I do. I have to adapt. And I think sometimes when you start to go into the next generation, you have to come to terms with the fact that the world will leave you behind. The world will not say, oh, let's give time to adapt. Do you find that happening in sport that you saw? Do you find that in your various avatar that it's up to you to adapt? The world is not going to wait for you.
It's up to you to adapt. And it was there in the past in some other way. And the future will continue to be its way and expecting you to adapt. That will not going to change. You adapted from when you played first class cricket to test cricket. You adapted when you played A-level list A cricket to international one-day cricket. And it's the same way these players adapt to T20 cricket. The content is the same, the individuals and the formats change. And this will continue to be so. There is T10 cricket. I don't know how efficient and how relevant that will be in the years to come. There's 100 ball cricket. Players are getting used to 100 ball. So as I said, times have changed. It will move forward, but people will also change. I think you'll only become irrelevant if you don't adapt and adjust. And adapting and adjusting is not very difficult.
You see that in cinema. You see that in so many places. I realized that I was getting behind in a conversation with my son, for example. And I was telling him how everyone thinks that T20 cricket is going to kill Test cricket. And he just looked me straight in the face and said, how can people be so dumb? He said, it's Netflix that's killing Test cricket. It's WhatsApp that's killing Test cricket. It's YouTube that's killing Test cricket. T20 will keep Test cricket alive. And I started to think, yes, that's true. T20 cricket is keeping Test cricket alive by bringing in the revenue for Test match cricket to spend. And then I realized, oh, hang on, we've got to start looking at things very differently. Now, you have a foot in the business world as well. Sourav Ganguly has about 26 feet. There's feet everywhere. How do you manage to stay relevant amidst all these changing things?
I adapt. The day I did TV for the first time after I finished playing, I thought they never asked me to come back. And I spent 10 years in it. Because I had the want, I had the interest, and I had the ability to adapt. Ability is most important. Understanding the situation is most important. And understanding what it takes. If you're rigid, then the problem starts. And I think it's a mindset which you need to carry everywhere. As a leader, as an individual, as somebody who wants to keep moving forward in life, that you cannot not be flexible, but at the same time, understanding of situations is very important. And as you said, you were in a cab with one of the former players and he said 2 dot balls, man, and 2 sixes, the game's good. And that's the way it is.
I mean, I remember being in a commentary box and someone was saying after a player hit a 4, is it a 4 and he's taken a single? Oh, that's clever. And someone said, well, why didn't he hit a 4 again? Why didn't you hit a 6 next ball again? Why didn't you maximize the next ball? Why did you waste it by taking just a single? And I thought the mindset is changing. And as you said, I was with this former West Indies captain and he said, man, doesn't matter, 4 dot balls, 2 sixes, you got 12 in and over. Gee, that looks very simple. Did you find in the many roles that you moved into that you had to unlearn? One of the biggest things in management in India at the moment is managers are having to unlearn and relearn.
Absolutely. Put the past behind and look ahead.
How easy or difficult did you find that? Because the past is dear, especially because we are very good at what we do. If you're very good at what you do, you find it very difficult to leave it.
Yeah, but the past gives you opportunities.
Yes.
What keeps you in the system is by changing and adapting and delivering at that moment. What the game teaches you the best, after 100, the next game you start from 0. And the same system continues. As I said, the past gives us opportunities, whether it's a Fleming, whether it's a Vittori, or whether it's a Mahela, whether it's a Dravid. It gives you opportunities, but expects from you that with your experience, with what you've seen over the years and what you've learned, you turn the table on and move forward.
So there's a manager who's 45 years old, suppose. 45 years old. You've still got 15, 20 years of your career in front of you, but you've already had 20 years. Let's hope they've had good careers, reasonably successful 20-year career. Which means you're now in a position of some authority and strength. You've got a little bit of ego around you, a little swagger around you. What would you tell these people? Because it's okay if you're 60. Say, okay, I've only got 2-3 years more left. I can live off my accomplishments. What would you tell people a manager who's 45?
Put the egos of your success behind and start winning that day. Do everything what it needs to win that day. Past means nothing. I firmly believe in that. A lot of us live with our egos and mindset that what I did was right, maybe at that point. But that right is giving you opportunities to keep going on doing the right and not make a mistake in the future. I think that's very important. Adaptability, adjusting, and understanding what the situation demands.
But technology creates so many different opportunities. It looks at risk very differently. I mean, in the corporate talks that I do, I often talk about the fact that we were always taught, whatever little cricket we played, we were always taught to play in the V, hit along the ground. I'm sure at the start of your career, you were taught to play in the V and hit along the ground as well. And then came this weird phenomenon that you nurtured called Virendra Sehwag, who said, yeah, there is space, I'll hit the ball in the V, but why can't I hit between the head and the sky?
Yeah.
You could do that because technology allows you to do that.
Yeah. Ability allows you to do that. Yeah. And that's what it is, to understand where you are and to understand what is that moment is important. And I think whether it's Sehwag, whether it's Surya, whether it's Tilak Verma, whether it's, then you name it, they have moved on. The mystery bowlers. Mystery wasn't a thing of the past. And you see all of them, they look for mystery bowlers. I don't want a left arm spinner. I don't want an off spinner. I want somebody who could just do something with his fingers and get the ball going away.
And I want someone who bowls 24 balls.
Yeah.
I'll pick a side with someone who bats 15 balls. I don't want someone to bat 100 balls.
Yeah, absolutely. You need that 15, 20 balls in the middle who can change the game around. The bowlers in the nets, they bowl as much as it is required to do it in the middle. And there was this era of Glenn McGrath where you would just come and bowl and bowl and bowl and Kapil Dev bowl. And the more they bowled, the fitter they became. But at the same time, you have the other side of it, injuries, people not wanting to play the bigger part of the game, people not wanting to be in the long run. It has its both good and bad. But as you rightfully said, the world has changed. The world has changed in everything, technology. You sit in your room and you know what's happening around the world. It was never the case, but that's life. Things will move on and you have to keep up pace with that.
Through these various transformations, was there a moment when you realized it's time to turn the page now?
Circumstances dictate that to you. Opportunities dictate that to you. Still keep doing well dictates that to you. It's about your attitude to what you do. You still want to perform, you still want to deliver, and you still want to make a name for yourself. After a while, the numbers are irrelevant. What is more important is that feeling which gave you the happiness of success. That is very important. Means you've covered cricket for so many years, even before I played and after I played, and you're going to continue to do so. But I can still bet that sting in the heart on the morning of a good test match still remains the same.
Yeah, it does. It's incredible how that happens.
And that's why you turn up. You don't turn up for what's sitting in your bank at the end of the day. You turn up for that, to be in that moment, to see a good test match innings or see a good spell on the first day morning of a test match.
Yeah, it's the saddest thing in the world is to see today's hero become tomorrow's nobody, because you're still remaining yesterday's person and you still talk about yesterday, and after a while the world just moves on. So maybe the message for all you managers as well, I'd imagine, is move on. Don't remain yesterday's person.
Because reinvention does not only shape individuals, it shapes institutions. To speak about how organizations stay future ready, we are joined by Mr. Rajiv Mantri, Chief Financial Officer, and Mr. Shantanu Banerjee, Head Human Resources at Bandhan Bank.
Thank you, Sourav. That's a pertinent question.
Yes, indeed.
To stay future ready, reinvention is essential in banking. Markets change, technology changes, and customer expectations change. Financial discipline gives us strength, and strategic foresight helps us prepare for tomorrow. Much like a player assesses the field before every ball, we have to evaluate risks, opportunities, and long-term planning with the same focus.
Absolutely, Rajiv. Reinvention is not just an organizational exercise. It is a people-driven one. Culture evolves when individuals evolve. We invest in learning, development, and open communication so that colleagues feel ready for the future. Empathy, adaptability, and shared sense of purpose keep us connected even as the world changes around us.
Sustainable growth comes from consistency and clarity. Reinvention works when we stay grounded in our values while remaining flexible in how we move forward.
And when people grow, organizations grow. That is what keeps reinvention meaningful and lasting.
Thank you, Mr. Mantri and Mr. Banerjee, for your insights. Reinvention is not about changing who you are, it is about discovering how much more you can become. With this conversation, we conclude Season 2 of Bandhan Bank Connect, Off the Pitch. These episodes have reminded us that leadership is a journey shaped by calmness in adversity, courage in decision-making, trust in people, and the ability to reinvent with purpose. Thank you for being part of these conversations. Stay curious, stay grounded, and remember, the lessons we learn on the field stay with us long after the match is over.